Hey everyone, I'm here with my good friend Jess Todtfeld, who I've known for a really long time, probably well over a decade now, and one of my favorite people to go to figure out anything and everything in the media and how to leverage your business the best possible and how to get the most out of your brand and how to position yourself as a thought leader in the space. And I actually met him when I was at this National Publicity Summit many years ago. And I believe you had just gotten done being a producer at Fox News, over at that time, into the entrepreneur life. You've done so many things since then because you're a serial entrepreneur like me, but one thing you guys need to know in advance is he's super funny and can do a heck of a Seinfeld impersonation.
What are you talking about? You mean my face?
I love it. So I'm just giving everyone a warning in advance because I've had crazy internet issues today. So if something happens, stay tuned because we're not going anywhere. So anyway, welcome, Jess. Thanks so much for joining me so quickly. I said yesterday, can you come on? You're like, okay.
All right, let's do it. No, it's very exciting. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to help your people who tune in. Some are tuning in live right now, and others will tune in later, to get the publicity, and not just publicity, but the media attention that they deserve. When you and I met over a decade ago, media was just one thing, and it's so much more now.
Yeah.
And for some people, something else is right. So it could be traditional news media. It could be doing a YouTube video, doing what we're doing now, interviewing other people. Which one is right for all of you in getting your message across? It's a little bit different for everybody. But you got to figure that out so that you can take action. And hello, Ingrid from Australia. And Christine and all the other folks who are tuning in. So today we're going to give you some ideas of how you can break through in some of these areas.
So, by the way, Ingrid is a rock star entrepreneur, and so is Chris. And so I have a feeling that everyone today is going to be like, how do you, from here to here, like yesterday? So to get everyone out of the gate, what is the biggest piece of advice that people consistently ask you? If you could say one thing, what is it that's the game changer? And I know you're going to save other nuggets of wisdom for later, but like, let's a juicy nugget of wisdom out of the gate.
I'm going to try to give as much as I can in however long the 9 hours that we've allotted, and we haven't allotted today.
Not really.
So one thing we didn't mention is, and I'm going to use this to give a piece of advice, is that I have a Guinness record for being interviewed the most times in 24 hours. So when I got that Guinness record, people started saying to me, how did you do that? What made them say yes? And how can I get massive attention and visibility? And like I said, it's changed over the last 10 years. There's so many new ways that you can get visibility, and we're making use of it right now. So the answer or the nugget to give, I like to call them a secret, because I have a book called Media Secrets. Everything's a secret. Is that it's easier than you think to get media attention, meaning traditional media attention. So we'll start with that today. So it's easier than you think. And I'll tell you why. Because local media needs your help. They have slots to fill. And eventually you hit a tipping point and they will want to do something because you're trying a little this, a little that. And often, and I just had this with one of my clients who's a lawyer, we had been pitching for a while and I was helping him. I'm mentoring him to be able to get these out consistently. And we said, how about this story? How about that story? How about this one that's in the news, political, or O.J. Simpson, or all these various things? And inevitably, and this has happened with me, they said, well, that's kind of interesting, but we're talking about this other thing. Can you just talk about that? Yeah, that's fine. So yeah, he got his local CBS channel, his local Fox channel. This is all within the last month or so. And Inside Edition just said that they want to do something, and they're just figuring out which story. So you can do it, people.
Yeah, well, you can do it. I know that I use the same formula that you teach in your book to do it for myself. So I know it's possible. And you do trainings on this too, which is, I think, really important. I invested in training on this exact topic because I was scared. I thought to myself, well, what do I know? I was just starting my Butler bag company. So I was going from the fitness industry to the fashion industry. So I'm thinking, why would I be a relevant expert? So let's start with something you kind of like glossed over. You said your client who is an attorney, so you have positioned him as an expert in legal advice or legal topics. So give everyone insight as to how they should really position themselves as an expert in order to get on all the time. So you're not just talking about your company, you're talking about everything.
Everybody has some level of expertise, and it can be matched to some sort of story or something that's going on. So when you said prior to being an entrepreneur, you were in the exercise arena. So at that time, you could go on, and I'm sure there are plenty of areas under that banner of exercise and health and wellness that you could talk about, and some that you shouldn't be talking about. You're not the expert maybe in some areas, but others you are. So then the question is, what is the pitch? What's that hook or angle that we can attach to it? So they say, yeah, you are the perfect person for that. Instead of doing in the other direction, trying to figure out where do I fit in? How do I make myself work for something else? And again, they may decide, I like that, but why don't you just talk about this? That works as well. So yeah, people need to know, tuning in, you are worth it. You can do it. And we're just talking about, a lot of people think media training and actually public speaking training is my main business. So a lot of people think that I spend the whole time talking about, move your hands and sit up straight, and you should do those things, but it's so much more. In fact, it's about monetizing and what I call converting interviews into business or web traffic. That's the goal. And once we know that's the goal, now we can do a few things to make it happen. So, yeah.
Most people don't clarify that goal, and I think that's often the problem too, and then it becomes an aimless strategy that they're not leveraging. So they might go on air, but they're not thinking about what's the website pointing people to right now? What's my Facebook pointing to people right now? So to really leverage this media, you want to be converting in other things, in sales and speaking opportunities and endorsement deals, especially if you're an influencer, because influencer marketing is so huge right now. It's very different than the spokesperson days when we first started in the media. So now people with a good following can become influencers of brands and get paid money to do it.
And here comes another secret. Say you don't have the following. Is there something and some content you could provide to that person who already has a following so you could help their people? Because that's an endorsement when they say, hey, everybody, you should look at this. And of those people, some people might want to work with you. Again, there are a few extra steps for converting that visibility and that action step into people doing something. So you have to really be mindful of, is this telling people what to do next?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Russell Brunson, which I know you follow.
Yes. Yeah, we both are. Thanks,
and
Teeny.
I love that. Yeah, Teeny. I love Funnel Hacking TV now because one point he makes that talks to what you just said is you might not have this huge following, but you could have a loyal following. And that loyal following, that's your fan base to start with. And then if you're giving them content and reason to share things, then you can expand also that way too. Some people have a ton of followers, but there's no conversion in what they're doing because they're not loyal or engaged followers. So really it's about how are you engaging with them too and getting them to take action.
Exactly. Even Norris, who's writing to us, is wondering if we're reading these things. We are. I don't know if we missed anything. But yes, you do need to engage people, and that's a key component. So, when talking about making the most of it, even what we're doing today, talk to people. There are human beings who are watching and listening in right now. By the way, people, feel free to ask questions. We've already established Jen has lots of questions. She knows me for a decade. But we'd rather talk to exactly what all of you need under the banner of visibility. How can you get more attention? How can you turn it into business? But yeah, it's about engaging people. You can use those influencers. You'd really be surprised. Even taking something that's either a traditional interview or what we're doing today. You're interviewing me. This is an interview. This counts, people, as media that you're doing. So, but then what happens? So you have it done, and then you're kind of sitting around saying, I don't know what to do. There are many ways. Yay, Norris. And Norris will follow you anywhere and listening. So good, you're in the right spot today. So a lot of people are slower to put a little money into promoting some videos or putting it here. But you can test with as little as say $5 a day. Just say, let's see how many views I get with this. Let's see if I put this in front of this targeted group, what happens? You could spend, I live in the New York City area, as you can tell from my special backdrop. And just going in and out of the city to my home is somewhere like $30-40 a day, I think, between travel and eating a sandwich or something like that. So think of it, if I'm not in the city one day, and I just said, I will allocate that, and I will make sure to try and see what kind of traffic I can drive and tell them what to do. That is the very important thing. You got to tell them what to do. And Jen knows I can keep talking. It's okay if she left and is making sure everything's okay. But
no, it's all about for you. That's the best part.
And that's actually one of my favorite things about this medium. By the way, I also have an improv background, so I have to do it too. I have to somehow keep it going. No, it's something like this. We can have a little bit more fun. We can be real. We can share of ourselves. I like to weave in things that I'm doing in my personal life. I know you post things about something, being proud that your girls were doing something with gymnastics or dance, or you're traveling somewhere. And I like to do the same thing. I was camping with my kids, and I'm holding the lantern, and I said, it's 34 degrees. This was one of my sons in the Boy Scouts. Why am I doing this?
I remember that.
And that one got a ridiculous amount of engagement. So I brought this up because we're talking about engagement. Nowadays, it's so much different. There are many other ingredients to really make it work. But to keep it simple today, for the folks who are tuning in, I would love for you to get traditional press. So I'm going to give you a bunch of strategies if you want. In fact, I'm going to do one other thing. I opened up 10 slots for a free phone call with me, a little strategy call where I'll give you some advice and personalize it to you. If you go to Appointment with Jess, Jess, appointmentwithjess.com, you can schedule it. When those are filled up, then maybe we'll see.
I want to say something real fast. That phone call, and I'm not saying this because I even knew you were doing that. I didn't even know you were doing that. That is so valuable. I mean, so valuable that I've watched Jess take somebody's pitch from where it was within like 30 seconds into like, they just created a iceberg in Alaska. Like, it was unbelievable. They had like a piece of ice and an ice cube, and next thing you know, it was this like glacier in Alaska. In a truthful way, but it sounded so much more exciting than the ice cube. So that's one of your skill sets in pitching. And we're also hoping that you join us at one of our JumpStart stores, because We want people to come in pitching their companies first and then and film it, and then work with you for 30 seconds and then film it again and see how very different it is.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. And I think the next one is in October in New York, unless you're doing one before that I don't know about, because I know about the New York one. So people who are in the New York area or surrounding, come on by. It's going to be pretty awesome. You're going to see a lot of people helping you.
Amazing.
So I want to make sure to deliver and give some techniques. So right now I'm going to talk about traditional media as opposed to what we're doing today. And so for traditional, you want to get on your local ABC, NBC, Fox channel. I've been on all of them. What you want, and I've used my own techniques to do this. One, you want to come up with a great hook. And the hook is obviously, it's called a hook because you're grabbing them. But think of it like a newspaper headline. Think of it as you're flipping through. Remember the old days, you'd flip through a newspaper? Maybe I should say you're swiping through. You're swiping through. And you see that headline, wherever it is, you see that headline. And you say, oh, I want to see that. I want to know what that story is about. So that's one way of coming up with that perfect hook or headline. Another is, I call this the TBTs exercise, which is tonight at 11. We'll talk to a woman who says, or man who says blank. What is it that you say that makes people's eyebrows pop up? What is it that
my favorite? I'm sorry to cut you off, but I want to give people an example. That was one of my favorite things. It was like, how so-and-so lost 10 pounds in one day. And I'm like, what? So I go back and basically the person had like a tumor in their stomach that was removed, but I stayed there. And I'm sure there was a million other people that stayed there to figure out how that person lost 10 pounds in one day.
Well, it's funny. And if I were to do a similar version of that pitch with my wife, who wouldn't be pitching fitness, she lost between 10 or 15 pounds almost instantly. And if you open up that email, it was because she was training for the marathon, which she says to people does not make losing weight accessible. And then she said, so then I did these other things that maintained it, and that is accessible, which are essentially, eat right and just have some activity. But the thing is, what you're pointing at is what really makes them open the email, and what makes them say, this is traditional media. Hey, you know what? I could take that headline. I could use it when I'm promoting, whether it's TV, print, radio, or internet media. I could use it when promoting you and this topic. So they're already thinking about what the story is. So I've only talked about the email subject line this whole time because it is very important to get people to open an email if you are in fact pitching them. And that's really the main way you might pitch somebody yourself, is to start and have a media email list, and then be able to reach out to them and say, hey, how about this idea today? You were going to say something, Jen?
So what if somebody doesn't know how to get in touch with that person? There are secrets of how to find that person you're pitching to.
Yes, there are a few secrets. So one is, let's say you want to find somebody at your local NBC station in your area, because local publicity, big secret today, is even easier for you to get press. They need your help, I said earlier, people. And so say you want to go to do something for your local NBC station. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to that website, and you're going to click around, and you're either going to go to the contact me page, or a lot of times there's actually a page saying, do you have stories for us? And you're going to look through, and here's what you want to extract. Few things. One is, a lot of those reporters will actually have their email address, and they will also have a Twitter handle or other ways that you can connect with them, stay in front of them. And sometimes this is even better in some areas. The producers have their email address, and somebody may even be assignment desk editor, and that may be somebody who's on there. And you should grab all of these, but you should put them into a system, kind of like a Constant Contact. I use something else, but it's basically similar, where you can write an email once and send it to all of them, but it should say, hi, first name code, and the code would say, take Jen's name and put it right in there. So it says, hi, Jen, wanted to know if this story would work for you. And then that person who's reading it says, well, I'll be the judge of that. Let me look. And they read that headline again and a little bit about what you'd say. And then they either like it or they don't. And one of the things that we're after with a sentence opening like that is a yes or no answer. Let's see here. Norris said he signed up for a free call, so should you. Oh, very nice, Norris. Awesome.
I like it. All right, Norris.
A nice little chat. It's not too quick, but it's just right. So that I can answer. Basically, Norris is referring to, I said, I'll open 10 slots just to have a chat. It's at no charge. And then I can customize some of this for you and make some suggestions. Appointmentwithjess.com, which, by the way, is something you can do. You can register a domain and point it to wherever you want. So
that was a great tip, by the way, for people. That right there is a great nugget of wisdom of really maximizing your schedule and allocating how you can leverage your time.
Absolutely. It's great. I would rather have some focused conversations during the day with people who want to talk to me about my right fit thing and give advice, whether we work together or not, versus if I were to make cold calls or just kind of, shoot in the dark and who knows what. I would just rather just chat and say, hey, this is something that you can try, but I'm going to give you some actionable advice then and right now. So the subject line, the most important, we got to get that hook in there, and we open it up, high first name code. So I'm giving you some of the formula right now, folks, and it's high first name code. You need to use one of those systems, and would the story below work for you? It's a yes or no question, which only needs a yes or no answer. How many times have you sent out, all of you, an email and you got no reply? Maybe because you wrote this huge tome that went on, and the person's thinking, well, I got to read through this later, and it's too long, and nothing ever happens. So we got to do that.
The subject line, just to hit this point home for people, it has to be creative. It has to be catchy, because if it's not, they're not going to open it because they're getting so many emails. So one of my clients, she said, I could never get a response. I said, what were you writing in the subject line? It was like, hi from Massachusetts. And I'm like, what? That sounds like a greeting card, like a postcard. Like, no one's going to open that. And so, and one of the other things that I always do that might be helpful for people, instead of doing, Jess made a point, don't write all this like content because they're not going to read it. If I see that in an email, I gloss over. And we're like even more Twitter world minded people today. But I write the subject and 3 or 4, maybe even 5 key talking points and the sub talking points of those points. So it looks like the segment exactly as it would be. You might have taught me this back in the day, but it's funny, I was hosting this panel for all the media people, and while I'm a contributor to the media, everyone on the panel are anchors or journalists of different sorts. And Jen Frederick of Fox News, when I said, this is how I write it, and every time it gets picked up, and she looked at me, she goes, that's exactly why I pick it up, because I don't have to do any work when you write it like that.
Yes. Think about it. So if they can just open it up, they know right away what the story is, and they can eyeball, this is the story, this is who is available. You are, in fact, pitching yourself to talk about something, because a lot of times they get emails just saying, a new restaurant has opened in Butte, Montana. Okay. Are you giving me a link? Why are you sending that? So they get a lot of that. So it's that who, what, when, where, why, and how. We know who is available, why you're reaching out to actually have some interview done, and what you'll say. So you need to put, and that's another key piece, what will you say? Because there were a lot of times where people would pitch me, and I actually had this at a pitch meeting that I was in. You mentioned, I've worked at ABC, NBC, and Fox, and I was in a pitch meeting, and they said, I love the story. What does that person say? And we're looking through. I don't know. I'm not sure. And they said, forget it. That was it. They were done. Yeah. They were done. So we need to know what it is that you're going to say. So you need to, just to return back, you asked me about it. How do you get your media list together? So I said, there are a few different ways. One is you can go to the websites and you can look through and you can start pulling them together. The easiest way to do it would just be to get a media list, like a nice big media list. I'm going to comment on what Nora said in just a second. So if you want a big media list, that is something I can help you with, so reach out to me. Although there are services like Cision Point that do it for between $3,000 and $5,000. I don't do it for that much. It's way, way less. But you can just have a list that's done, and you just push it out to your list, and you send one email. I write the email once. I'm giving more than I thought I would today, but I write the email once, and I send it out. And usually about 10% of people, which is a high open rate for emails in general, so you want to use a system where you can tell who's opening, who's clicking around. About 10% are opening it and looking and clicking around. And then what I do is I either wait a few days or maybe the following week, and I take the same email and I push it down slightly. And then I say, wasn't sure if you saw this last week. Was this something you were interested in? That's it. In fact, I ended up getting almost 50 newspapers with just this one strategy because a few years ago, a little example here. A few years ago, you may remember our New York Congressman Anthony Weiner. Thanks, Teeny. Don't worry, North. I'll come back to your thing. Our New York Congressman Anthony Weiner said, well, he decided he wanted to become a photographer of himself and bad selfies. You may remember.
Right.
But anyway, somebody said to me, and cheating and other stuff. Someone said, Jesse, I go out there and comment on what people do in the news often. So someone said, are you doing it? Are you talking about this? And I said, I don't really know if I want to do it, but the more I thought about it, career opportunity, fine, I'll do it. So I put out just some quotes. I was traveling around that week and not back home and easily accessible for TV, local TV. And I just sent out a bunch of quotes. So this one quote was basically, and I show how to create the perfect quotes. I call it the soundbite quote system. And there are different elements. You only need one of the elements, but I said, I'm going to stack. There are about 14 of them. I stacked 5 or 6 of them. So I said something like, is this the end of Anthony Weiner's career? Which is a rhetorical question. It's one of the elements. And I said, he has mortally wounded his career because he hadn't been ousted just yet. So bold action, emotional driven words. And I had a few other things like it doesn't mean he's completely out of the water, which is a cliche. And there's some reasons why actually media people will react to cliches. And I said, but he could always end up as a commentator or getting his own show on CNN, which was really just a swipe at any of the networks that give somebody a show when they have a sex scandal. That's weird. Don't go that route, people. And it said, right. Or maybe a reality show. So they love that, which is pop culture reference. So those are a few elements that made their heads explode. It went right away to 14 newspapers almost instantly. And then one of those papers syndicated it to another 10 or 12 papers, which was the Philadelphia Inquirer, actually. And then it ended up, then I sent that second email, it caught fire, and it went to about almost 50 newspapers by the time it was done. So you can do this too, people. That was with one email, with one follow-up email. And honestly, my wish is that your people who are watching do go and try this out. I know we have on there what media questions do we have, so we should look at those. I don't know if I can. But that is my wish for you, that you say, you try this. I was just at a conference in Orlando, and somebody ran up to me in the hall while I was trying to go to my room. And she said, I tried your stuff and I got a whole lot of publicity. It was like 11:30 at night. So I was trying to make sense of what? But she said, that's all I wanted to say. And she was walking away and I said, thank you. I don't know who that was. So
I love it.
It was very, very nice that she did that.
And who knew that you were a wiener expert?
Who knew that I was a wiener expert is a wonderful phrase that my 12-year-old would applaud, and that is the best ever. I would do that for the rest of the day, and it's true. Apparently,
I couldn't not go with that. I had to.
So now I see that we got a couple. Yeah, that one I caught, and about how often we should gauge. And I know Norris had said before, I promised I would return to it, which is, by the way, a challenge. If you do these things, you got to remember stuff and really talk to people, be present. but Norris was saying, so my 8-page email should go down to 6. You really need to keep it tight, and you'd rather have them reach out and say, I got most of the who, what, when, where, why, and how, but now tell me more. Jen's blushing. Nice. And then the woman who I think just asked us a question was about, I think it was a woman who was saying, how often should we engage our lists? It's funny because people ask me about my email list often, and they probably ask you about it, Jen. And I have all different segments of different lists, and there are plenty of things that are not right for certain groups. I'm not going to send the media people, meaning those media contacts, the same thing I'd send somebody who says, I want publicity help, or hey, Jess, I need public speaking help, and I'm a financial advisor. Those are all different groups. So if we're going to just focus on those media folks, I would say because you're pitching yourself, you can pitch yourself at least once a week. You can do a follow-up, which would be within the same week, is totally fine. But you can pitch yourself at least once a week. This is what I did with the lawyer who's in my mentor program. And I said, let's get something out every week until we have a tipping point. And usually within the first, when I say a tipping point, I mean the first month he got a bunch of radio, and I think got one newspaper. Right in the beginning of the second month, he got the CBS thing, and he got a bunch more radio. And there are ways you could take the radio interview and turn it into a YouTube video, which is pretty cool. And then you could push that out. And then by the end, just after month 3, I mean, he had been getting he got another TV in month 3. But when I say tipping point, I'm even looking for when they start calling you out of the blue and they just start saying, you were so helpful, which has actually been starting to happen with him because the people at those assignment desks who assign the reporters, they started liking that he made himself accessible, and you can do the same.
Yeah. That's actually something that's really important for people to understand is once you have proven you're a credible expert, producers don't want to have to do all the work. So they're like, oh, I have a story. That person can talk about it. So it's easier for them to rely on someone over and over again and not have to constantly be searching for experts on topics. So they want you back. They desperately want to want you back.
They do. Think about it. They are people who just want their lives to be easier. That's the real secret agenda of the media. All of them. They want to go home already. That's the secret agenda. So if they, and Jen, you and I remember we both did a show over at Fox together, even as guests, after I left as a TV producer and started this part of my life, and which was a whole lot of fun just to be on at the same time. And they know they had go-to people. Hey, we're going to be talking about this today. Come on back. You know, are you available? So yes, everybody, Tina, you're right. Everybody wants their lives to be easier, including us, all of you tuning in, right? We want, so if I can make your life easier, it would be to say when we're pitching, we're going after traditional media. And again, I don't want you to ignore what's happening today at this exact moment, because this is pretty powerful as well. This may reach more people who should be hearing my message today than if I do my local CBS affiliate. You like that, Jen?
I was just about to say that. I can't tell you how doing these has been so effective. I actually got outreach from other platforms to do the same thing on their platforms and not just have it on the Facebook wall platform. And it's really amazing because if you do look at the outreach and the numbers and then the shares, I know that there's times where more eyeballs are engaged, not just on it, engaged, than on a lot of traditional media shows right now, because content is really, spread out a lot where people are engaging and learning from. Yeah,
not everybody's waking up and watching the Today Show, but let's say you did get the Today Show. Of course, we still want to be on the Today Show. That'd be awesome for us and our businesses. But you can take that, and then the magic happens if you've said the right things in the interview to bring it on over and then start pushing it out or driving traffic to it, putting it in front of the right people. And like I was mentioning today, or just now in this interview, you just have to think, who are we talking to? And I know you have a lot of entrepreneurs or people who are either just starting or people who are deep down and been doing it for a while. And I used that word visibility earlier because that's what it really is about. It's us staying visible.
Relevant.
We all know there are things that we can do better and more effective and smarter. And media, especially video like we have today, whether you like it or not, is not only here to stay, but it's getting bigger and bigger, and we have to pay attention. And Teeny says that she's collaborating with affiliate marketing, and it kept going there, so I didn't see the rest of that. But
doing videos with her people in her field that have their own skills and offers. So any tips or things to watch out for when collaborating? So Teeny, do you think what's actually Tiani? So do you think do you mean directly in sharing video collaboration, or do you mean in cross promotion collaboration? While she answers that,
I think I know she's bringing up just more affiliate marketing, and I think she's kind of saying, you know, what works, or there pitfalls, or anything I should know. She might get more specific, but I think the idea of connecting with somebody who has a different audience than you. You may have a small audience, cross-promoting with a group is fantastic. I'm going to push this out, and I want people to know about Jen Groover when I push this out through my channels later. And I'm going to tag in there the JumpStart Startup link so people can know. And I don't know if you have more than one city that you're promoting, that people should go in person and be able to go and have a one-on-one. Yeah, it works both ways. In fact, it really works well both ways when you realize that it's not just about you. Yeah, that it's not just people on the replay. I'm just replying to comments. That it's not just about you, that, you know, everybody's helping each other. But here's the thing, and hopefully we were doing it by example today, which is you must lead with value, and ideally massive value. So I'm hoping that so far, the techniques I gave you, which are pieces of the template, that's saying here are a few places you can look for media contacts, some do's and don'ts. I hope that I was delivering massive value. And I'm just showing you, Jen liked this before, just to add more. She said, bring this up. This thing is called a chat light. And actually, I have a big, huge TV light over there, so I'm really cheating. But this thing will light up just your face. See how much better it got? And you put it over the webcam, and it gives you some light. Yes, she needs to listen, maybe, is what she said. That's right. Re-listen is exactly right. Yeah, and if you want, I don't know if it's pronounced differently and not teeny, or you think you were just saying. But you can grab one of those calls and I can give you some specifics. So anyway, if you're going to do video, make sure people can see you and they can hear you. I know this sounds like a no-brainer. I'm wearing a little clip-on mic today, and I'll put it down here so I'm not too loud. And I made sure it's lit up. And I've seen, Jen, your videos have only gotten better and better and better as time has gone on. I'm sure everybody has their days. So yeah, so we have to make sure people can definitely hear you and that they can see you. Yeah. Should we comment? I know Norris was saying something. I'm curious what field Norris is in, who said video is not as big in my field right now.
So he is more of a academic educator, but a pioneer in education around entrepreneurship. So he was advocating for entrepreneurship long before it was cool. And so he's way more on the academic side, where I believe video is definitely going. I think they're struggling a little bit more on figuring out how to monetize it and not eat out their traditional business model of people paying for tuition. But I definitely see it in the schools that I speak at all the time. And the online courses are picking up and all that video, Zoom for the online courses. So,
well,
but listen, I want to be.
Well, I'll just say about Norris. Norris, I mean, you can do article marketing campaigns. You can do a webinar where they see your face or they don't see your face. And it really depends if you're trying to monetize it or if you're just trying to grow an email list. But those are a few ways to go about it. Jen?
Value. I appreciate it. I just want to be respectful of your time. I had allotted 30 minutes and you have so graciously gone above and beyond, as you always do. Plus, share with everyone again, in case they missed it in the beginning. There's only a few left. There's not 10 left now, but you were giving away free calls for people who just want to get some quick advice.
Yes,
so what is
appointmentwithjess.com. I was looking, I left my phone apparently in the next room to say, oh, has anybody signed up? But I know Norris did. I left it in the other room. But appointmentwithjess.com, and then we'll have a 15, 20-minute chat, and I'll give you some ideas and give you a few suggestions of things that you can try. And that's it. I decided to do that for Jen's audience today. I don't do that all the time. It's not a...
You're so valuable.
Yeah, it's something. Oh, great. Wonderful. So, yeah, it's been exciting and a pleasure. I hope this was helpful for your people.
Do you have your book? Can you show a picture of your book? Do you have your book with you?
Of course. I just happen to have a copy of Media Secrets sitting right next to me, which is a media training crash course, and has done very well. Thank you, Norris.
Can you tell everyone what you did with that? Just give everyone the stats on how successful that book has been, because it's very impressive.
Everything that I do, I'm the media guy. There's extra pressure. So I did work with a book consultant on this, so I didn't mess it up, and he was wonderful, which I think you ended up knowing. But we ended up becoming a #1 international bestseller because, for one, you have to sell it elsewhere outside of this country. That helps. You have to sell books. But we hit #1 in 25 different Amazon lists, including lists in the UK, Canada, and Australia. And some of it, pulling on what we talked about today, was leveraging other people's lists and leveraging every last list that I had, doing Facebook Lives and video webinars, staying up crazy too late at night to do all these things and promotions. And you're going to get a whole free e-course. I developed a media training online course that wasn't done yet, but I said I'm going to do it out in front of you. And if you buy the book on the first day, I'm going to give it to you. At the time, I gave it to them for a steep discount. And it was funny because I made a lot off of that. I think I sold close to 30 of those right in the very beginning. And then I've since sold many for full price. But and most of what I do is in person anyway. But what I want for all of you, and I'm happy to give you advice, people, if you have a book or it's your business or you're in the beginning of starting your business, or you've been doing it for a while, what's the right strategy? What should you be thinking if you're like Norris and you're thinking to yourself, what do you mean about article writing campaigns? We'll get to talk about it when we have our chat.
So great. You're always a wealth of knowledge and energy, which I love, as you know. And Jess is going to be with us in October. I'm hoping, right? So when people come into the store, if you're in New York City or the New York City area, he's going to give his little magical 30-minute pitch polish. Oh, I like that. Pitch polish.
Pitch polish.
Pitch polish.
Polished pitch. Anything that is a tongue twister.
It is. I love it, though.
Norris is asking appointment singular with Jess.com.
Jess.com.
Yeah.
So if it's not too late, you have an opportunity. If I were you, I would take full advantage of it, because
Jen, how do they find out? What is the link for people to go to this physical event where they can pitch and not pitch, but they can walk up and get advice from all these amazing experts?
JumpStart Connect,
business.
Yeah, so I'm going to post it at the top of the Facebook interview, but consistency. But it's JumpStartConnect.com. It was originally JumpStart Startup, for those who are following me. Change it to JumpStart Connect, because we realized that there's a lot of people that when you hear the word startup, they think brand new nascent stage startup. But for those of us who have been entrepreneurs for a long time, a 5-year-old company can be a startup. And I didn't want people to assume that it's a nascent stage startup. So what we really do the most is help people by accelerating their connections to every business service that they need to maximize the growth of their company as quickly as possible, like Jess. And the next one is in New York, the week of October 9th. And so, yes, there's going to be some people taking advantage of this. And I'm going to post the details on top of this interview so everyone can see it and make sure
it's growing and getting bigger and bigger. And you have some amazing big corporate sponsors that are so excited and just want to make this thing a success. And you've been inviting all of these fantastic, amazing experts. So it's honor to be a part of one of your programs.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we have some really amazing brand partners from Comcast to UPS and Staples. And so we're doing some really exciting, we have a big media partner we haven't fully launched the announcement of yet, but so many exciting things. And it's just going to give people what I wish that I had when I was started, which is like business in a box to scale quickly. And instead of what do I do next, it's right there. It's right in your hand. So
you just keep walking up to different experts and say, what do I need to know about this kind of marketing, about this type of advertising? Or Staples will say, this will shave time off your day. So it's just basically that. Get it all in one spot.
Station to station to station, getting love, because it makes it so different, is when people walk in the door, they are greeted with an entrepreneur expert that mentors them literally through the entire experience of station to station to station. So then they wind up getting mentored and engaged with all these new brands, and they leave an hour or so later, like mind blown, like, oh my gosh, my entire world just got like accelerated and my ability to believe in myself has grown exponentially, and I feel like I can do this now. So thank you for helping me brag a little bit.
Exciting. No, you should let people know. Make sure that they know it's coming up. I know at least one person said, is it coming back to the Philly area where you are?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So we're actually not going to be back in Philly until next year, but it's going to be New York, and then we're going to go to DC and Baltimore and Boston. And
New York is a 2-hour train ride, so hop on the train.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're going
I
to
love
see
it.
a whole bunch of different experts.
So Norris, it's speed dating for business. That's what we call it. Speed dating for business. I love it.
It's good.
Well, thank you so much.
I promise not to kiss as many people on the mouth this time.
I know, it's such a random thing you do.
Right now, this is where it all took a turn. Thanks, TV. This is where it takes a turn, and people are like, I don't know if I want. No, I'm not going to kiss anybody on the mouth.
He's kidding. Totally kidding. He's a jokester. I told you in the beginning. He's like a comedian.
I had to slip in something.
Well, thank you so much again, everybody. Make sure that you check out Success in Media and Media Secrets for his book. Pick it up again.
Yes, it just happens to be making its way right now. Media Secrets. And
definitely take advantage of. You probably have like 2 slots left. Definitely take advantage of it, and we'll see you in New York. Thanks so much. Bye, everyone. People.